Greetings, my name is Kathleen Lugo and I'm a senior chemistry major student from Florida International University. However, I've been working with the University of Minnesota, specifically with the University of Minnesota up north in Duluth and the Fond du Lac Reservation with the geochemistry of wild rice. Specifically, we've been looking for the sulfur and iron chemistry in the sediment and how it affects wild rice growth. Basically, we set up 4 tanks with 2 different water column heights. 2 of them were 15 centimeters column height, 2 of them were 40 centimeter column height. 2 tanks had sulfur addition, 2 tanks had nothing added, control tanks. So we could see the difference in growth of wild rice in these different environments. What we found was that the amount of iron concentration is dependent on the water column height, which means that shorter water columns have more photosynthetic activity and helps the plant produce more iron oxides, which help the plant because you have more iron dissolved. However, in sulfide added tanks, the amount of sulfur in the water doesn't let the iron bond with oxygen. It actually bonds with the sulfur because you have too much amount of it in the water, and it precipitates into iron sulfides. We actually kill the plant because it's damaged the roots. We measure the amount of iron oxides being produced, and as our hypothesis stated, the control tanks have a higher amount of iron oxides than the sulfur added tanks because they reach the surface faster, they get to oxygen they need faster, the oxygen goes through the stem and towards the roots and protects the roots from iron sulfides. We also calculated the saturation index, which is the tendency of iron sulfide precipitation to occur, and we found out that the 2 sulfur added tanks have a positive saturation index, which means they have a high tendency of sulfide precipitation, while the control tanks have a negative saturation index, which means they have no tendency at all of precipitating iron sulfides. This project is completely community-based. It's really important for the state of Minnesota because they're trying to set a new decree in which they lower the sulfur amount that can be introduced in the water system. And we're trying to show that if that happened, it would completely kill the wild rice.